Okay, so first tell me, why didn't you just resign?
I was ordered by the school board to write out grievances. It took me till June, I think 23rd, to actually get the school board to allow me to talk to them. And I had grave concerns about the probation, and I had been receiving retribution from the superintendent and the administration because I believe because I was found innocent from the hearing charges. So I finally got to talk to the school board June 23rd. I told them about all the things that have been happening, and they said, file grievances. I said, really? File grievances at this stage, June 23rd? And they said, yes, file grievances. Sign your contract by next Monday. So I busted my buns all weekend long filling out the grievances that they told me to fill out on each incident of retribution that I had received since the hearing. And I submitted them and I submitted them to each school board member, used the emails that are on the district website, and even brought a copy to the district office to be signed by the secretary that she would give it to the head of the school board that day, because that was the day I needed to sign my contract. And in these grievances was a request, a formal request for delaying the signing of the contract until the grievances could be addressed. And that very night, after they received my packet that they ordered me to do, they advertised my position. I didn't find out for 3 weeks what came of the grievances. By then it was too late.
So that would be one of the due process violations.
I would think so. I was acting according to their demands. They told me to fill out all those grievances, and I was doing what they told me to do, and they advertised my position without even calling me up or anything.
What were some of the retribution type actions that the superintendent was taking?
Well, during the hearing I was found innocent of charges, yet I was put on probation. Some of the retribution that I received was I was being removed from leadership positions that had nothing to do with the hearing. I was being threatened by the superintendent to do certain things in letter that I didn't. I was being threatened in letter form from the superintendent about something that I was told to do by an administrator. And my witnesses, as the year progressed, I found out more and more about how my witnesses were threatened, and if they were actually to witness for me, that they were told not to. They were literally told not to by their administrators. I found out that administrators were told that they were to go to their people in every single school, from bus drivers all the way to teachers, and they were ordered not to come to my defense during the hearing, not to testify for me, and not to even go to the hearing. One administrator directly told her employee, who was going to be my witness, that if you knew what was good for you, you won't get involved. They were threatened.
Will all this come up in court then? Will those witnesses?
Those witnesses are prepared to go and testify that they were threatened, yes. But I think the more important considerations here is not what happened to me. Unfortunately, what happened to me happened. There's no way that anybody can do anything about the stress and the destruction of my career that occurred at the hands of Mark Gabrilczak and the administration at Snake River School District. There's no court in the land who recognizes the stress that we were put under as being compensatable in any way, shape, or form. So the most important thing to understand is that there are still teachers up in that district that are working under this micromanagement. They're afraid for their jobs. Administrators are afraid to death to do anything because they don't know how to handle this administrator and the nepotism that was going on. So it's really all about stopping this activity from occurring to anybody else. Enough's enough. The law was broken. You can't deny due process and fair representation. You cannot.
So if you win this, other than bragging rights, what happens? What do you win?
There is no bragging rights here. What is there to brag about? I've been scraped through the mud. The win is that the public understands that the outcome of this trial was set in January. The fate, the ultimate fate that the superintendent wanted to occur to me was set long before the hearing ever occurred, and he got what he wanted.
You out of his district.
Me out of that district. I had an impeccable, immaculate 28 years of evals. Nothing but positive things on my evals. I was promoted to every leadership position that you can hold in that district and not have an administrative degree. And I was most recently asked by Mark Kabrilchek himself to be the head of the science department, curriculum writing, the whole entire thing, which I accepted for free. And one interaction with his wife caused me to lose my job. The outcome was that I've lost my job after 28 years. She has been in the district not even a year.
So when it goes to court, Elaine, what happens? What does the judge rule? That Mark did violate your due process? And then what happens?
Well, at that point, I think maybe you do need to talk to my lawyers. I can tell you that I was never given the ability to actually even say my side. My witnesses were never interviewed by the so-called non-biased lawyers that the district sent to talk to me. I asked for mediation, but Laura Gabrilchek, the superintendent's wife, refused at all levels mediation. People representing the school district actually lied to me and said that they were unbiased people that were going to be representing both Laura's and my side, and they were anything but. They were actually already been hired by Mark for Mark. The person who ultimately interviewed us was the school district lawyer, who did not introduce himself as such to me. He introduced himself as a non-biased person who was going to interview, and he never, when asked who he should interview for me, I gave him a list of teachers' names, and he said, I don't have the time to interview these people, and he never did. So the only people that were interviewed by the school district was Laura's list. And as it turns out, this same person had a lawsuit against my husband at the exact same time he was telling me he was unbiased against me. It was a three-ring circus. It was an absolute three-ring circus. No process was ever followed. I asked repeatedly, is this a grievance or is this a harassment? I was given a student harassment form. It was the first paper I got. And on it, it said that my mother would be called because of my behavior. And I brought that up. I said, my mother's in New York. I don't think she's coming out here. But they said, insisted it was a grievance form. And I said, what level are we on? And my administrator would not answer. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. I asked for mediation, I don't know. But he ordered me to sign, he ordered me to write a response to a grievance I haven't even received, and then he threw it out. In his own words, he put it in the trash, my response. Then he ordered me to write another one, which I did. It was unbelievable.
Well, the union has come to your defense.
Yes.
And it sounds like this is going to go to a federal court.
Mm.
What do you want at the end of the day? Would you like the superintendent to be fired?
I want my job back. I lost.
Take your time.
I had 28 years of dedicated service to that school district, and I was thrown out like the wash water, the dishwater water, however that phrase goes, because the superintendent hired his wife and he couldn't separate himself from his wife's issues. Principals couldn't do their job because this was the superintendent's wife that they were dealing with. They were scared to death to do anything, and so they did nothing. What I want is my job back. He had no right to take that job from me. I was denied every opportunity to get an equal, fair representation the whole way. That's what I want. And I want people at Snake River to feel safe and not feel like they have to be afraid of what they say and hide in their classrooms and not be allowed to talk when they know that something's wrong that's going on. I want the community to understand that I was forced out of my position. I love that community. I chose that community to live in and teach in. I raised my children there. I've taught kids. I've taught kids of kids, and I was working on grandkids of kids. And it was taken away in a matter of a 15-minute interaction with the superintendent's wife.
There were some teachers that told us off camera, and this whole 15-minute scene was kind of a disagreement over a piece of school property. Mm-hmm. And Laura suggested it got very loud. Did you think it got loud?
Laura admitted under oath that she was yelling at me and acting unprofessionally. I never did yell at her.
And so some teachers told us, and I'm tempted to give you their names, but maybe better that I don't. They find you to be a powerful personality that some in the Snake River culture could interpret as bullying. Did you ever feel that there was at any time you might have been a bit of a bully?
No, I was asked 28 years at Snake River, 28 years in any job, you are going to have disagreements with people. Disagreements are not anything to be afraid of. It's how you handle the disagreements. And I have never have had one person charge me in that 28 time period with having been a bully of any sort. And when Laura Gabrilczak brought those charges against me, I was found completely innocent of those charges. I'm not a bully. I am a go-to person. That's why I'm constantly being promoted into leadership positions by the Snake River School District. When somebody doesn't do a job, they call on Elaine and I'll do it because I want the best for the school district. And they know I'll work all night, all weekends, all holidays to get their tasks done. I imagine that might be intimidating for some, but if the goal is to get the curriculum done, it's done and they're still using my curriculum. It's still posted on the website and they're still using it.
What good do you think this is going to do? Taking it to court. I mean, some people you got a job, you got a new job in a new district that loves you. You're still a fantastic teacher, and why not let her go?
Oh no, I have had 30+ years in education, and you stand up for what's right. If an illegal act occurs and you turn your back and walk away, are you not as equally guilty of that crime? This is what the school district did to me is illegal. We are protected under the Constitution of the United States. All employees are to have fair treatment by bosses, and they need to be held to that. The worst thing you can do is to have a district running their own personal agenda and not following their own school board policy or due process policies, and not do anything about it, and not say something. They do it again and again, and more people are subjected to the kind of treatment that I was this year. You have to stand up for misjustices no matter where you encounter them, and they are there at Snake River School District 52 right now, and it's happening now. Even though I'm not there, it's still going on.
You suffered, this is a tough one, Elaine, you suffered a pretty tough tragedy. Some people suggest, and these would be your former students that absolutely adore you, that maybe something happened there that changed you, because nothing that was being described by Laura or some of the other attorneys during those hearings looked at all to them like the teacher they'd had. That wasn't the Elaine Asmus they'd had classes from. The loss of your daughter, could it possibly have changed the way you interact with people in the school district?
Oh, I've been told I don't laugh as often, and I don't doubt that to be true. However, the person that was represented, that Laura was trying to portray at that hearing, was absolutely, positively, never has been and never will be Elaine Asmus. it was a witch hunt from the get-go. Okay, when it was obvious I was going to be found of harassment charges, they were trying to dig up any little piece of dirt they could possibly dig up to save their own face. My daughter did die. I'll be the first one to say that I'm profoundly affected by that. If anything, I'm more passive than I've ever been in my entire life. And anybody who is around me at all closely knows that that's what's happened to me. I've become extremely passive. I don't, you know, I don't have the energy to participate in an argument over a piece of equipment. I simply don't have that energy anymore. My energy is spent grieving for my daughter. So throughout this entire process, it was clearly and painfully obvious to me that the school district was not following any of their own policies or the Code of Ethics of the state of Idaho or even the Constitution. It was plainly obvious. But I feel people make mistakes, emotions get involved, and that's how I saw this as happening. Obviously, something was wrong with Laura Gabrilczak. That had nothing to do with me walking in the room that day. She was a loose cannon. I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for the school district to catch up with what they were doing and realize that they were breaking the laws. And I waited and I waited and I waited. I was even offered a job in January that I turned down, and I turned the job down telling the school district, of course I'm going to work it out with Snake River. I've been there for 28 years. We'll work this out. And painful, painful truth came in the beginning of January where they just offered up my job without even looking at the grievances they told me to file.
If you get your job back, Elaine, can you go back into that school district?
I don't know. Would anybody know? Does anybody have the answer to that question? I do know one thing's painful. That probation contained an awful lot of stuff that was just meant to hurt me. Even if they believed that any of that, the accusations were true, there was nothing in the probation that would work to teach me to improve. I asked over and over and over again, what do I need to do in your eyes that would be better than I'm currently doing? And not one of them could answer. They were meant to cause me pain. One of the first things that was done before I was even out of the district was the order was sent to color and paint my entire room over. Now, I had posted on a wall every picture of all the students that have graduated from Snake River in my classes over the years since 1987. It was a history wall. There was graduations, there was weddings, there were death announcements, baby showers, everything on that wall. And there was signatures of students who achieved high status, including my daughters. Both my daughters' names were signed on the wall, along with many other students. They painted that over. Before this was even resolved, the orders came in. That had nothing to do with anything that they were charging me with. It was just meant to cause me pain. Because they knew, you paint over my daughter's signature, she's not on this planet anymore. She's not on this planet anymore. That was a connection, that wall. And I didn't have any chance, any way to stop that from happening. That has nothing to do with probation for a disagreement with a teacher. It has nothing to do with that.